Blackbeard is the most fascinating villain in One Piece. There are so many questions about him. What is his past? How is he able to stay awake for so long? Why is he such a bitch even after being a pirate for so many years? But I think the most important question that nobody's asking is why does his crew trust him so much? We have seen pirate crews with deep bonds of trust in the likes of Straw Hats, Roger, and Hard Pirates among many others. But we have also seen crews that are built entirely on a common purpose and exist only as long as their interests align, like the Rocks Pirates. Although at first glance you would assume that the Blackbeard Pirates would end up being more like the Rocks than the Straw Hats, it's actually the complete opposite. The Blackbeard Pirates are the twisted, evil version of the Straw Hats, but both crews are more alike than any of us would want to admit. And I can kind of predict the first question you will ask to argue against this statement. What about the relationship between Aokiji and Blackbeard? Don't worry, I'm gonna get to that. But first, how did the Blackbeard Pirates come to be? We actually don't know much about how they were formed. We know that Teach killed the 4th commander of the Whitebeard Pirates, Thatch, to get the Yami Yami no Mi, and was hunted by Ace from the next day on. However, Oda never mentions how long Ace was hunting Teach, but I'm gonna guess it's maybe around a year or so, and he also doesn't mention if Blackbeard left the Grand Line after getting the Yami Yami no Mi, and that's kind of important because Lafitte is from West Blue and Van Augur is from East Blue. Teach could not have gotten to know them personally during his time with Whitebeard, or someone on the crew would have found out, and I don't think he had the capability to recruit people before, considering he was 12 when he joined. My best guess is he found these guys and wanted posters and newspaper articles and thought, these guys are my kind of assholes. Let me try to recruit them. What I'm trying to get at is Blackbeard, similar to Luffy, was able to convince a bunch of big personalities to join him on a journey across the Grand Line in a relatively short amount of time. Let's skip forward a bit to Impel Down. This is the first time we see his persuasiveness in action. He convinces Shiryu, who was sent to kill him, to join his crew instead. He then has a battle royale among level 6 prisoners to select another 4 to also join him. If we compare this version of the Blackbeard crew to the current Straw Hats crew, you start to see the resemblance. He gets his initial 4 from various sources across different oceans. They have skills, but have very little reputation or known achievements. Lafitte had the reputation of being a cruel cop in West Blue, similar to Zoro, who had the reputation of being a pirate hunter, but that's about it. Then we get the second set of recruits, which for the Straw Hats are Robin, Frankie, Brook, and Jinbei, who had more notable achievements before joining Luffy, which made it harder to recruit each one, except for maybe Brook, but even he had to be reconvinced after getting his shadow back. Compare them to the level 6 guys in Shiryu. They also had notable achievements before joining the Blackbeard Pirates. We don't know exactly what they did, but there's a reason they were in the deepest level of Impel Down, and were similarly convinced to join. And now the part that breaks the comparison between the two crews. Kuzan. Have you got the wrong idea about pirates? Nobody said we were all the best of friends here. The only thing pirates need is an alignment of interests. When you saw Blackbeard say this to Kuzan, we immediately think the entire crew is made up of people with their own unique goals and they're operating like the Rocks Pirates. But that is contradictory to how the crew has behaved every other time they're on screen. So how do we make sense of all of this? Remember what I said at the start of the video. The Blackbeard Pirates are the twisted, evil version of the Straw Hats. Although they behave like well-trusting nakama, like the Straw Hats under most situations, when you look underneath the initial layer of helping each other, it reveals a lack of concern or apathy for one another. And I think it comes from what everyone likes to call maturity. We all want to be mature and not be very trusting of one another because we all had that one incident where someone abused our trust, and ever since, you have to keep people at an arm's length. Not being unfriendly or anything, but thinking really hard before you totally trust someone because you're afraid of getting hurt again. Well, the Blackbeard Pirates are the embodiment of this concept, but on steroids, while the Straw Hats are the cure to this attitude. And I see it being mature in a negative sense, but it's actually about finding the right balance, and knowing when to be childish and when not to be. The entire Enies Lobby / Water 7 arc is about how Luffy's maturity is the cure to the sense of apathy seen in the Blackbeard Pirates. He fights for Robin because he understood that she has lived in a world where nobody gave a shat about her for 20 years, but at the same time, Luffy didn't let Usopp back on the crew without an apology in order to keep the band together. He's able to find that balance between maturity and childishness. Teach has similarly found his balance, but it's a fucked up version of what Luffy's got. He protects and is protected by his crew, but is also open to the possibility that some of them might have to be discarded if the situation calls for it, like when he was fighting Hancock or when Kuzan freezes some of them. And the number one concern for him is always going to be himself. Another difference between the two crews is each individual crew member's ambition. I previously mentioned how the Blackbeard crew are very individualistic, but that's not entirely true. In reality, they're the most like-minded crew in the entire One Piece universe, as they only have goals of gold, fighting, booze, and maybe fucking, but Oda-sensei keeps it PG. Most of the times. Compare that to the Straw Hats, who each have a very specific goal in mind with no overlap between each other. This helps make the crew tighter as they're able to root for one another to win with no conflict of interest. We have established that the Blackbeard pirates, 1. Don't give a shit about each other, but still care for one another because it's convenient so far. And 2. Are all like-minded, which can lead to conflict of interest down the road. So how is Blackbeard able to keep this dysfunctional ass group together and make them work in tandem with one another? Part 1. Grand Plan. It's a pretty straightforward plan as we have already seen it in motion. Teach sends out his commanders to get devil fruits using whatever method possible in order to help him become the Pirate King. We know he's currently looking for the man with a burned scar who supposedly has the 4th road poneglyph. I'ma guess that he already has 3. 2 from defeating Law, and the 3rd from when Kuzan and Van Augur kidnapped Pudding. And for the people who are like, well, we're not shown them taking the copy of the poneglyph, so we don't know really if they have it or not. I genuinely want to ask you, do you think after defeating one of the 3 commanders and capturing Pudding, they looked at each other and said, we got who we were looking for. We do need the 3rd poneglyph, but nah, let's just dip, even though there aren't that many strong people left on this island. So they either already had it, or got it when they kidnapped Pudding. Also, everybody's speculating that Pudding will be useful for the Blackbeard pirates because she's a 3-eyed person, and they can hear the voice of all things. But Pudding doesn't actually have that ability as she's only half 3-eyed person and other half giant cannibal bitch. I think they kidnapped her for her mind reading, which could potentially help with gaining the ability to read poneglyphs from Robin or someone else who can do it. Hey, maybe it's the guy with the burned scar. And kept her alive because she could perhaps unlock the 3-eyed power in the future, so she's like an insurance. Teach has such a well thought out plan to become the Pirate King that worked out pretty well so far. This combined with the next 2 parts give him all the credibility he needs with his crew. Part 2. Background. We don't know exactly what his special bloodline is, but all that matters is it is special and his crew believes in it, giving him a divine right or destiny or whatever you want to call it. It's the allure that his plan and ambition are based on historical significance, which adds the extra layer of confidence for his crew. Part 3. Charm. Last but definitely not the least, this dude is straight up charismatic. Not in like a, oh my god, Ryan Gosling is so dreamy kind of way, but he's got his own way with words. He knows what button to push for each type of person. He talked about doing your own thing for Kuzan while using a battle royale for level 6 prisoners to gain the strongest of the bunch, but also getting the most ruthless ones because that's the kind of crew he wants to build. He made Whitebeard hesitate in the heat of battle by calling him father, even though they both knew he didn't believe in that shit. Charisma is not always about being glamorous, but reacting to each situation appropriately. And unfortunately, I've been told that I don't know how to do either. The success of his plan so far, combined with the trust his crew has in him, makes him the most intriguing antagonist in One Piece. And now you add that he might be from a special race, and we start losing brain cells trying to figure out both what he's trying to do next and how he fits into the whole history from before the world government part. Blackbeard is not at the level of Aizen or Madara, but he does deserve to be in the argument of one of the best manipulators in anime, considering his achievements so far. He flew under the radar for 30-ish years, and used that time to find resources and people he needed to rise to a Yonko level really fast, all without anyone finding out. He's able to make a group of dickheads work together to help him achieve his goal, all while also being the biggest coward in the entire show. But if you want to watch a video about potentially the second biggest coward in One Piece, watch this video about Kizaru. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.